for those of you watching my first channel, JR's Place, hello, and yes, I'm double tapping. I'm doing 2 videos in one day. I was intending to do this for my second channel, actually, but how could I, deprive you of all this greatness? And so, yes, I am wearing a coat because I'm out here in the wind working. This is my bow shop. Yes, indeed. I do have right there an unheated pole barn, but the light is so much better out here for doing work on tips, and I'm going to show you these bows and explain their mojo and what they are about shortly, so do not fear. You may be asking yourself, you know, why am I not working in the basement? Why am I not working here? Why am I not working here? Why am I outside? Well, yes, it is windy, but it's not what I would consider cold. Wait till February, when the bay is frozen and suddenly we don't have that tempering effect of the water. It can go from 15, 20 degrees, I'm being optimistic, to minus 20. And so I darn well better get used to working out in the cold weather, because I intend to make bows throughout this wonderful winter season. And what best way to get used to cold February temperatures than working in these balmy December conditions? And so earlier, if you are the JR's Place people, I had what I called the world's most powerful bow type. And again, it's because it's a first bow for a young boy, and so that is a very powerful thing, getting that first bow into somebody's hands. A wooden bow, by the way, a self bow, by the way. And hopefully he will surpass all of us as far as his bow making abilities, because he's starting young. I don't know how young, he's just a little nipper. But that is going along with the driver's seat. The tiller. The tiller! That's going along with 2 other bows. And so Joe, in the western portion of this country, asked me to make 2 bows for 16-year-olds, and long bows, paddle bows, whatever. I had free reign with this. And that youth bow with a couple of arrows, and I just cut a wine cork, a rubbery wine cork, in half, and then drilled the holes and plugged arrows into those to make nice sturdy stoppers for killing haystacks. Other 2 bows, the conditions were black and cool, and so I was thinking about that. I can do that, black and cool. And it just so happened that I had 2 bows that I had already made a while ago, almost made, they weren't completely finished, that I stuck in a corner and forgot about them. 2 matched bows for 2 16-year-olds. Kismet. It worked out. Long bows, which I'll get to why it is appropriate for long bows this time of year. They are oak, and one of them had already been greased and finished, but I was able to take that grease off so I could put rawhide on the back of them. I thought that was very appropriate. I love rawhide as a material. It doesn't have the ultimate brute MMA strength of sinew, but in the midweight and lower weight bows, rawhide is a wonderful, wonderful material, easy to work with, and you do not need to wait 6 months for it to cure. Give it a week. I give it a week or so in my conditions to dry enough to begin final tillering. That speeds things up and will allow these bows to get out by Christmas, to be in their hands at Christmas, and so that's good. I am going to first just talk a little bit about the detail of these bows. I had in the beginning of my career, well, midway into the career, because in the beginning just stave made bows, feeling my way around. Then I got into using red oak board bows, if I might be so bold. And I had 2 main styles. I had my long bow, compass or circular tiller. You know, I could go either way with them depending on the weight. and my paddle bows, my PBs. And so I kind of got away from doing the longbows because there's so many other fine longbow makers out there. I wanted to find my niche. But I still make them occasionally. And these were two that I had played with. And you can kind of see the general dimensions. I'll stand back so I don't get blanked out. This is them. These are those. And you can see how they are, well, you can't really. They're semi-rounded belly, but they're a full taper from century to the end. And this is one of them, a little shorter, do not be afraid. The tips on both of those had one of my favorite details. You can see it, I'm gonna adjust it because I don't know what the lighting looks like. Scooped out like little spoons, little spoon things. And this was taken from a very ancient European bow fragment. They had those elegant little spoony tips. Same as that, symmetry. The rawhide is joined in the center, and to build up the handle, because you know it's kind of thin there, is what I do, and what you can do at home, is there are varying sizes of leather rectangles glued together, building up a pyramid, both sides, and then I do a leather hand wrap over them. Very simple technique. I don't know if it was used in the past. It probably was. If we're doing it now, it probably was done in the past. There is nothing really new under the sun as far as bows, because over the course of all the thousands of years we've been doing this, engaging us in this adventure, just about every single permutation conceivable has been tried. I mean, let's not think that these people went to bow making school and they sat down and this is the prescribed method, this is how you were supposed to do it. They were individuals, creative, intelligent people that experimented, worked things out, figured stuff out, and so in some ways different people in different parts of the world could have, see, I didn't say spherical world, I didn't say it. Could have come up with the same things. You know, we've found artifacts here and there, and then use those as good representations. If we found them, we know that they were there, but it doesn't preclude the fact that a lot of other things were used. Enough of that. Okay, the design on these things is we need to make these things personal. We need to engage our personalities and our beings upon these talismans, these devices that are much more than just pieces of wood that throw arrows. These are an extension of us. They are our personality. They are our energy that we put into this thing. These are our companions. They've been with us for so many thousands of years. I do believe that like our paths have met. And I'm thinking, put my gloves on until my fingers get so cold they hurt. I could do childish things with these, bending some of the fingers back, but I shall refrain. I'm thinking of Ötzi the Iceman. I wonder why. In the conditions, this guy that left this village after having a meal, after talking to his friends, wandering off, and then I believe from the evidence that some dudes hijacked him and he had an arrow on his back and he started marching up this mountain. And now I have absolutely the ability to, when my fingers get way too cold or I want a cup of coffee, a bad cup of instant coffee, I can go into the house. Ötzi could not. He had to cross over a mountain range. And so that question, am I going to live, probably was in his mind. But he wasn't a modern person. So he probably had that thought in his mind that I'm just going to cross this mountain and everything is going to be good. And didn't sit down and feel sorry for himself. It reminds me of this time I'm out walking along and I look up and there's this huge buck, giant rack, laying down in the snow. And so I sat down and we're watching each other and I detected no feeling of like pity in his eyes. It was a miserable day, horrible day, you know, weather-wise. And we sat and we watched each other and just kept each other company for a while. And he got up, and I noticed that one of his legs was mangled. He must have been hit by a car and made it down to the water and sat down. And what was striking in my mind was that I detected no self-pity. It was what it was. And that deer made a huge impression on me and taught me a great lesson. That these creatures that we share the earth with, that I do not see them feeling sorry for themselves. That seems to be a human characteristic. And the acceptance of what is, the drive to continue, it seems to be in their minds. Now, I have had occasions, 3 times, as a matter of fact. As you can see, there's a road there. And it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, so generally speaking, there's not a lot of road kills or injuries on it. But occasionally, deer get hit. And what I find is striking is, in 3 instances, they have wound up at the door of this pole barn next to me. And I'll come down to do my stuff, whatever it is, and there will be a deer sitting there, just looking back at me calmly, not feeling sorry for herself or himself. There was 2 does and 1 male, you know, in no cases, but we're just there waiting. And so, in all instances, I grabbed bows and I walked up to them and ended their life. Wound up eating them. You know, that is what it is. A very sad, not that any of those stories are happy, the sad one was, this is when I had a compound bow. I was lured into technology. Took the compound bow, drew back, and it was the weirdest damn thing. It was that the arrow was hit, because within feet, the arrow veered off right in her butt. It's like, what the hell? Did it again, the same thing, right in the same spot. And she didn't move. She didn't like cry or say, why are you doing this to me? I went, I got one of my wooden bows, a 2-bladed, either a Zwickey Eskimo or a Muzzy, right in the heart. And right there and then, I came to the realization that, like, I'm not going to mix styles. I would use my wooden bows, I would use the compound bow. I gave that compound bow away. You know, I tested it out. I thought it was the rest, it was goofy. It was fine. Gave it to a young man, a teenager that wanted to engage in hunting with his uncle. I just gave it away. It was a beautiful Hoyt. Never looked back. Do not regret it. These things have never given me any surprise. Now, design work on here. I've touched on way too many things so far. When it's this cold, the battery goes really fast, so I don't even know if I'm still recording. I am going to do something on these bows inspired by people of the Ice Age, European, because I just have that feeling. It's not you. It's not you, it's me. No, it's not you, European you, the plant, you know. They're not elm, but I still have this overall feeling of those bows that were hanging out a long time ago. I'm not going to get to the trap of like which Ice Age and everything, or I'm just going to say old cold Europe. Just had that feeling, and I think that like the world wants me to do that. And this is where it gets into the second channel now. Is that when I'm down here, or when I'm over there, when I'm over here, and I'm doing things, such as this endeavor of bow making, or whatever, adventuring, is that it's almost like I hear the voices of all these people in the past whispering in my ears, and I rarely feel spooked out in this place. Now you can say that there are things out there that we are usually not aware of. I would like to believe, and I get that feeling, that like whatever is out there approves of what I'm doing because I just have that happy feeling when I'm out in the world like this. There. I still have quite a bit of finishing work to do on these things, so I'm going to let my little fingers warm up. See if the battery died in the cell phone. If you take anything out of this, the one thing that you should take out of this, that I take out of this, is that story about that deer that was down there, just sitting there, existing, coping, a nobility about him, an acceptance. It was what it was, and there's no use feeling sorry for yourself. There. Cut.